Rolling. All right, and we are live.
Hey, welcome and good evening. Happy Father's Day out there. Here we are, Perspectives in Primary Care. And, let's, have some of our audience come on in. And I don't know, I'm here in New Jersey. It was beautiful and sunny today. Dr. Dietrich, where are you broadcasting from?
I'm actually broadcast. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Dietrich. I'm broadcasting from Pecos, Texas, West Texas. So, if you haven't heard of Pecos, Texas, you might have heard of Odessa, Texas, or Midland, Texas, and then you might have heard of El Paso. So, I'm in between those two big cities.
Okay.
All rural health town.
All right. All right. So, good evening, Victoria. We already have a guest on, so thank you so much. Good evening to you. And Dr. Khadisha, where are you broadcasting from?
I'm also in Texas. Hey, everybody. I'm also in Texas, but I'm in Houston, H Town. So that's southeastern Texas.
Is the weather hot and sunny in both places?
Very hot. For me, it's very hot.
Yeah, it's like hot and muggy with roaming thunderstorms. So, and it's so
Oh,
flat, you can see them like roaming across the city, actually. So, how about you,
so
Dr. Carol? How's the weather in Red Bank?
Well, in Red Bank, New Jersey, it was supposed to be humid and possibly some thunderstorms, but it was sunny all day. So we really enjoyed this weather on this part of the Jersey Shore. So, and again, we want to welcome everyone. Oh my goodness, thank you, DM, for tuning in. And we are so happy to be here to bring you the Father's Day edition of Perspectives in Primary Care. And I can't think of two women colleagues that I would rather be here with this evening as we share our wisdom and our insights. And we hope that the education that we're bringing to you will be meaningful to you and your lives. So I'm going to introduce the three of us, and then we are going to get started because the show is really jam-packed. It's so jam-packed that we're doing part one and part two on men's health. And we want all of our kings and our young princes to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit. So I'm Dr. Carol Penn. I'm doubly board certified in family medicine and obesity medicine. Dr. Dietrich Gorman is board certified in family medicine. And our dear colleague and sister, Dr. Khadisha Rapp, is board certified in emergency medicine. So this is hence our title, Perspectives in Primary Care. And we like to bring you the perspective from the hospital to the emergency room to what happens in the clinic and in the ambulatory setting. So this is what we're going to be doing tonight. Dr. Dietrich is going to be talking to us about adult vaccinations, and she'll lead us off. Then Dr. Khadisha is going to be talking to us about nutrition, and yours truly will frame it, some of the challenges that we have in the African American community and also minority health and the disparities that we see there. So I'm going to frame the challenges tonight, and then tomorrow night offer some solutions. All right, so women in medicine, are we ready to educate our men in health and also the women who love them?
yes.
Yes.
So get your fellows to listening to this because it's very important. June is National Men's Health Month, and so that's why we wanted to come together and just kind of educate everyone as to the importance of having a good healthy nutrition and just taking care of the men in our lives. I'm going to start us off by vaccinations and vaccines, something that is very important. But what I like to always do is kind of start from the beginning so I can get everyone with a common understanding and on the same page before I delve off into the more intricacies of vaccinations. Which, by the way, I won't get really, really detailed and technical and all that stuff because I understand we're dealing with a broad audience and everybody needs to understand it. Okay, so I'll start off with vaccines. Um, what is a vaccine and what's the basis of a vaccine? So a vaccine is basically a preparation of a weakened or killed microorganism that's given to you to help you prevent getting infected by that microorganism. And this agent will go into our body and then activate our own immune system. And because our immune system is injected with this agent, it's going to perceive it as a threat, right? And so, but it's weakened or killed. So what happens in our body is that the immune system will be activated to make antibodies. And so this will prepare the body the next time that it's exposed to the disease in the future, and it'll recognize it in case you encounter it again. So that's kind of the whole basis of vaccinations and vaccines. Before I talk about the different vaccines, I want you to encourage you all to carry a vaccination card with you, along with your other medical information as well as your medication list. Just like when the little kiddies go for their well child checks, the parents bring their vaccination cards with them to make sure that they're up to date. Same goes for you, okay? At the very least, take a picture of your vaccine card each time that it's updated, because it can be very important when we're making medical decisions, okay? The information I'm presenting for y'all tonight is actually taken from the CDC. Now, I necessarily can't say there's a vaccination just for men only. So these vaccinations are for like adults, okay? And I will not be talking specifically about the childhood vaccines, okay? Also, on that note, there's actually some adults who actually should not be vaccinated, or they should wait to have them done, or not at all, as determined by your physician. But in general, some people may be advised not to get certain vaccines if they have like an allergic reaction to components to the vaccine, or if their immune system is just very, very weak, or if it's compromised, because that can set you up for other problems if you do receive that vaccine, even if it's killed. Also, if a person is very ill, they may need to wait to get vaccinated. Again, please get this information from your doctor. But generally speaking, if a person has like a minor cold, even if it's time for vaccinations, they can go ahead and proceed with it. Okay. There's recommended guidelines and schedules for vaccinations depending on your age, chronic medical conditions, previous immunization status, and we physicians kind of look them up as well just to make sure you're receiving them at the right time. We don't. It's a lot of information out there. They need to be given at certain ages and whatnot. Um, Also note that some vaccines are given once, and some vaccines are given in a series, or you might need a booster to help re-stimulate your immune system to react to in the future. So I'm going to get started. What vaccine should men have? Please take notes, everybody, or if you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. It's going to be a lot of great information tonight, but take notes. All right. We're going to start off with the flu vaccine. We've heard of the flu vaccine. It's recommended to take yearly, especially in people with chronic medical conditions. This vaccine comes live as well as inactivated. And some people might be thinking, oh, when is flu vaccine? So it's definitely getting ready to come up. It usually starts around October-ish, but activity kind of peaks in December through February. But I was reading it can last all the way up through May. So that's a long time, all right? The shingles vaccine, it's a viral infection, okay? It's a very, very painful rash. It can occur anywhere on the body, but most commonly occurs like in a single strip. It could be like on the trunk, wraps around the trunk or the torso on what's called a dermatomal layer, but it can be anywhere. I've seen it like on the face. I mean, I've seen it on the leg. I've seen it lots of different places. I'm sure y'all have too. And it's the shingles is actually caused by the same virus that causes the chicken pox. And after you've had chicken pox, that virus kind of goes dormant and lays inactive for years and years and years on the nerve near your spinal cord and your brain. But many, many years later, it's reactivated and comes up back out to the surface of the skin as shingles. And it is very painful. Okay. I don't know if y'all know anyone who's had it or have had it, but I heard it's no joke. I haven't had it yet, but I definitely know people who've had it. um, there's actually 2 vaccines licensed for the shingles recommended in the U.S., but the Shingrix vaccine is actually the newer one, and it's indicated for people 50 years and older. Um, and what this vaccine does in this case is hopefully short the duration of your infection period and hopefully lessen the complications that can happen from this. Okay. And again, I can't see any comments, y'all. So, maybe at the end we can stop for questions at my part and, go that way. If anybody have any comments. Then we have what's called the Tdap. That stands for tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis. Okay. Every adult should get it once if they don't get it as an adolescent to help protect them against like the whooping cough, and then they get a booster every 10 years. Okay. So tetanus is actually caused by a toxin that's made from a bacteria called Clostridium. Okay. And this bacteria actually can make spores. So spores are like little bitty inactive, I don't want to say like seeds, but they're kind of inactive until they're activated, and they can actually be found in the dust and soil and animal feces. And when these spores become activated back to bacteria, these bacteria make their toxins, and then this messes up with the nerves that control the muscles. Okay, it causes those muscles to tense up, and I know y'all have heard of lockjaw before, so you get that lockjaw. I don't know if you've heard of that out there. And there's definitely risk factors for getting this tetanus infection. Of course, if you don't get vaccinated, okay, or if you don't get your booster, if there's an injury, some type of injury that leads to exposure to this tetanus spores in the wound, a foreign body such as like a nail or a splinter, you've kind of always heard of like the tetanus. Oh, if I stepped on a rusty nail, that's true, but there's also other ways you can get it as well. They've been found in puncture wounds, actually body piercings, drug injections, splinters, gunshot wounds, compound fractures, burns, surgical wounds, animal bites. So there's many ways that you can become exposed to that. And isn't it wonderful if you could just get your vaccination when you're supposed to? You don't have to even go down that road. So please keep that in mind. Then we also have the diphtheria, right? And that is actually a bacterial infection that affects your mucous membranes of the throat and the nose, and it's very serious. And one of the characteristic things by this is like there's like a copious or plentiful gray colored secretions, and it's so bad that it can really kind of fill up your airways where you can't breathe. All right. Then you have pertussis.
Dr. Dietrich, we do have a question. I know you were just talking about the shingles vaccine, and this is from Victoria. What is the recommended age to get the shingles vaccine? The myth is shingles is an old people's problem.
So I have seen it in younger people. It is more common in older people. That's why it's recommended age 50. That Shingrix vaccine 50 is the time that's recommended. Oh, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's another thing too. I know I had talked about there's specific ages where you're supposed to get vaccines. There's actually a schedule that's published depending on your age and what health issues you have when a vaccine is recommended. But that one particular is recommended after at age 50 or above. Okay. Then we're going to go to pertussis, that whooping cough. There's been TV commercials about that where you see the little kid coughing and hacking and they can't really get their breath. This is very, very contagious. The kiddies get it from the adults, and you have those violent, uncontrolled coughs where it makes it hard to breathe. And so this DTaP is part of that whole vaccine series that adults can get. Going on to the next vaccine is the HPV, the human papillomavirus. And this is actually a common virus that actually leads to like 6 different types of cancers later in life. And nearly 80 million Americans are currently affected with some type of HPV. It's spread through intimate skin-to-skin contact, and you can get it through sexual contact with someone who has it, vaginal, oral, or anal sex, okay? And in men, it can actually affect the penis and the anus, okay, as well as the back of the throat, all right? This vaccine is recommended actually starting in childhood, but it's recommended in those ages through the age of 26. But I was also reading that some people opt to, they let them do it age 27 to 45 if they haven't been vaccinated, but it's a less of a benefit because a lot of people have been exposed to HPV. Okay. The next one are the hepatitis B and hepatitis A. And I'll just say that hepatitis means that the liver is inflamed for whatever reason. And usually with the hepatitis, this is a viral cause. Um, uh, Hepatitis A is mostly spread through food and water. Um, B is spread through other means as well. But getting this vaccine, and these are usually in series, what I was talking about, just to help prepare your immune system in case you get in contact with that. I know as healthcare workers need to be vaccinated for sure from hepatitis B. I know some of the kids going off to school need to get this, make sure that they have that vaccine done. Then we have meningitis. It's actually an infection of the membranes that cover the brain and the spinal cord. And these membranes collectively are called the meninges. Keep in mind, though, that meningitis can be caused from a virus, fungus, parasites. They can cause meningitis as well. But you can get meningococcal disease through throat secretions, kissing, coughing from someone who's been infected. And there is a vaccine created for meningitis caused by this bacteria. And people who are like going into the military, the new recruits, if you're going off to college, freshmen, they're recommended also for people who are traveling abroad. And again, please see if you fit the bill that you need to get this vaccine done. We have MMR, which stands for measles, mumps, and rubella. This is a vaccine that's usually started off in childhood as well. But adults who don't have the evidence that they've been immunized to this should at least get one dose of it, and some may actually need two. Um, these adults may be healthcare workers, international travelers, people who are like the public health officials who are actually going to these areas where there's an outbreak. So they need to make sure that they're protected as well with the vaccines. Measles is very highly contagious. It's caused by a virus in the nose and the throat. And when a person coughs or sneezes, it gets into the air where another person can inhale it. Okay. And like I said, this one starts usually off in childhood, this vaccine. You might have heard of mumps as well. Mumps is a virus that causes swellings like in the glands under the ear, so you can see it under here. And mumps used to be, before the vaccine, mumps used to be a very common cause of meningitis, but that has really tapered down since the vaccinations have started. But one thing in particular for men who get mumps can actually have their testicles inflamed, okay? And this can actually lead to infertility. So please make sure you get that done. And then we have German measles called rubella, and it's caused by a virus as well. And you have a lot of swelling and a rash on the face. So that one's kind of brief. um, Pneumococcal. So pneumococcal pneumonia. Pneumonia is a lung infection. Okay, and this particular bacteria, pneumococcal, is responsible for up to like 50% of the pneumonia cases. It's very serious. People who have medical issues, including lung disease, diabetes, heart, liver problems, kidney problems. Actually, if you're a smoker or have asthma because your lungs are already kind of compromised because of that, this vaccine is definitely needed. There's actually two pneumococcal vaccines that are indicated, and please ask your doctor if you're needing this one too. Um, and I guess that's kind of a brief summary for all of that. But in general, I just want to say the takeaways from this is that vaccines are really out there to help keep us healthy. Some people are not for them, but if you think about it, these are designed to help your body mount up a defense so that when you happen to come in contact with these different entities, your body is prepared for it, is ready for it. So it's like, okay, I've seen you before, I'm ready. Okay, and so your immune system is ready to attack it and eradicate it. So that's the whole basis of your immune system and vaccinations. So just please consider that when you're on the fence on if I should get vaccinated or not, or I feel horrible after the vaccine. Well, it's because your immune system is mounting up a response. Your immune system is doing what it's supposed to do. It's detecting something foreign that's in your body, and then it's preparing itself for a possible future insult. So that's all I have to say about that. But the thing is, to build up an immune system, you have to have good nutrition. You have to have give your body something to work with and make it strong and healthy. And you do that by giving it the best ingredients and the best food so it can have something to work with. And that's why Dr. Khadijah is going to lead us on into the talk about nutrition.
All right. All right. We've got so many people that have joined in. That was excellent. Thank you, Dr. Dietrich.
It was a brief summary, but very important. Yes, a lot of information.
Dr. Ken is here. Emmanuel is here. My goodness. So, we just want to acknowledge and thank everyone for spending some time with us on Father's Day. So please, if you have questions, please put them in so we can answer them live for you. So, yes, thank you very much. Dr. Khadijah, are you ready to take us into nutrition? There's so much, we're going to keep moving. That's why we're going to come back here tomorrow night.
Yeah, yes, I am. I'm so ready for this. So, because like Dr. Dietrich said, it all starts with what you put in your mouth. And when I started to prepare for this episode, discussing exercise and nutrition, the first question that came to my mind was, which is more important, exercise or nutrition? And the CDC says that nutrition is far more important than exercise. So for a healthy weight, nutrition is way more important than physical activity, because it is what we don't eat that is so much more important than how much you exercise. And, they will say that, you can't work off a bad diet. You just can't. And why is that? Well, first you have to look at intake versus expenditure. So what we eat is our entire caloric intake. So, this goes for everyone. And while exercise accounts for about a fraction, maybe 20 to 30% of burning that intake, and, us burning the calories for digestion, accounting for another 10%. Exercise also increases appetite. And that's like another topic in itself about what to eat after exercise. Now, since men have more muscle and are typically larger than women, of course, men have a higher caloric intake requirement. And moderately active males typically need 2,200 to 2,800 calories a day, which may vary with your height, your weight, and activity level. Other special nutritional needs for men, are there some? Is there a diet for prostate health? Well, not necessarily per se. But, if you had to say something about a diet for prostate health, a plant-based diet, which includes not only fruits and vegetables, but also things like nuts, seeds, whole grains, even certain spices and seasonings, that has been shown to help decrease the risk of developing cancer when consumed consistently. There's another condition, erectile dysfunction, which can be affected by diet. And Dr. Ken says, yes, folks, listen when you mention gonads. So erectile dysfunction, clinically obese men have a 40% higher risk of developing ED. And if you reduce your weight, if a man reduces his weight by 5 to 10%, that has been shown to improve sexual function. So things to eat. So according to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, 2 cups of fruit and 2.5 cups of vegetables a day are recommended. And you eat by the rainbow. I think Dr. Carol mentioned this in an episode past. Eat by the rainbow. That's red, yellow, orange, blue, purple, dark green fruits and vegetables. But as far as the grains, at least half of all your grains should be whole grains. And that means whole grain bread, brown rice, or oats. And fiber. Fiber is really important. That's like the forgotten factor. 30 grams of fiber per day is recommended for men under 50, and over 50. It's let me see. About 35 grams of fiber is recommended for men under 50, and 30 grams a day are recommended for men over 50. And as far as like protein or fish, things like that, 2 to 3 servings of fish per week are recommended. And another thing is replacing saturated fats like butter and high fat sweets and full fat dairy with unsaturated fats like olive oil for cooking and is recommended. Salad dressings based in olive oil are also recommended, and using olive oil instead of butter on your bread is also recommended. And I know we've heard a lot about this Mediterranean diet. I cannot talk about nutrition and health without talking about the Mediterranean diet. It's received a lot of attention, I think, for decades, the last few decades, as a healthy way to eat. And with good reason. It's been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, certain cancers, depression, and in older adults, it has been associated with a decreased risk of frailty, along with better mental and physical function. And the U.S. News and World Report publication named it the best diet overall for like the second year running in 2019. So what is it? What is it exactly? Well, the Mediterranean diet is based on foods available in countries that border the Mediterranean Sea. And the foundation for this diet includes, like I mentioned, and there's a bit of overlap, an abundance of plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, legumes like lentils, and peas and beans, and they're minimally processed. So that's the other thing. Minimally processed foods are recommended. Again, olive oil as the principal source of fat. Cheese and yogurt can be consumed daily, if you're, a dairy kind of person, but in low to moderate amounts. Fish and poultry should be consumed in low to moderate amounts a few times a week. Red meat is still good, but consumed infrequently, less frequently than the poultry and the fish. And it really should be like a condiment to complement your vegetables. You could use it to, season your vegetables. A good amount might be the bits of beef that you have in a stew, or, if you use smoked turkey or something to season green vegetables, if you boil kale or collard greens, just that little, like that portion, like just a little side of meat. Some people say that the portion of meat should be about the size of your palm. So take your palm and, yes, thank you. I know it's hard, especially living in Texas. I mean, people put butter on steak. We've got chicken fried steak, steak fajitas. And let's see. Victoria says, "What's your take on the keto diet?" I know that's that's very popular, and I know people who've lost weight on that, but you should it's an increased fat intake diet, and with the keto diet, you have to be especially careful when you do that, because if you eat anything that's outside of what is recommended, it's like you're eating just like a completely indulgent diet, and you'll put on more fat. You'll just undo the purpose. You're defeating the purpose of the keto diet if if you're adding bread or certain things, and you have to do it like on a schedule. With the keto diet, you have to do it like maybe for a limited amount of time, and I would consult my physician before before embarking on the keto diet, because that's a lot of butter and meat and things like that. And you have to make sure that you're in the best health for that kind of intake. So other things that are recommended with this best diet overall is eating nuts and olives. Hopefully, men like to eat peanuts and things like that, but like cashews, walnuts, Brazil nuts, those seem to be in higher favor than just regular peanuts. Beginning and ending each meal with a salad. Choose crisp, dark greens and whatever vegetables are in season. And you can have salad for breakfast. Now, I know, with the American tradition, we're thinking about, toast, cereal, orange juice. Actually, that's too much in the way of carbohydrates. And Dr. Carol, you step in when you need to, right? That was what we watched the Brady Bunch eat, right? Right. The white bread, the orange juice, the corn flakes with the sugar. It's like white things that, bread, sugar, processed foods. That really, it's really good to possibly eat a salad for breakfast. And that really took like a mindset shift for me. But that's like an excellent thing. But whole grains, like whole grain toast, the Ezekiel bread that you see in the refrigerated section in the grocery store is good with a couple slices of avocado and some egg whites. That's been said in certain fitness magazines, like Runner's Magazine, to be like the perfect breakfast, things like that. And as far as alcohol, substitute wine in moderation for the other beverages. So replace beer or liquors with wine. And for men, that's no more than 2 5-ounce glasses a day. Women, it's recommended that you have no more than 1 glass. And as far as other beverages, replace soda with water. I know that's hard, but there's also like sugar-free soda and like seltzer water that has a flavor to it. You'll see those, and I'm trying to remember some of the names, but you'll see them in the grocery store. It's seltzer water, but it has comes in like a array of flavors, from black cherry, grape, lemon, orange, lemon lime. You can replace your soda with that. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by this, I just want to end by saying that you can work with a registered dietitian, nutritionist. They will look at your individual needs and limitations and your attitudes towards food, and they will work with you. So don't be overwhelmed by the recommendations. But what we put in our mouth, our health almost starts with what we put in our mouth. So I just want to end on that and give it to Dr. Carol. Thank you so much.
No, absolutely. We really are what we eat. So, Dr. Khadijah, thank you so much. Nutrition alone could be an entire show, because it also has to do with your culture, your upbringing, certain foods that mean certain things at different times of the year. And yet we know that there's been a proliferation of obesity, and not just obesity, but toxicity and metabolic disarray with this, excessive amounts of weight gain, or with pounds that have been put on the body that the person is not able to shed. So year after year after year, you see the continuing of weight gain. And then we have the hypertension, and then we have the diabetes, and then we have the cancer, and then, an orthopedic problems, on and on and on. And so, we want a person so it's not necessarily only about the pounds on the scale, but it is about the entire status of the person's health. so being metabolically healthy. And that comes from what we eat. And we do know now, the research shows that what we put in our mouth is 80%, and exercise is really only 20% in terms of weight loss and weight loss maintenance and optimizing health and well-being. So this brings me right up to looking at healthcare disparities. So Dr. Dietrich, you ran it down about the adults and the vaccinations that we need as adults. Dr. Khadijah, you ran it down about nutrition, yet and still, we find that men generally across the board, all ethnicities, tend to engage with their healthcare providers at a lower level. So how many times have you seen a man in front of you? I'm here, my wife made me come. My girlfriend made me come.
Many, many, many times.
Common. And yet, when we look at African American men and men from other minorities, they're even less engaged and less likely to show up in front of a medical professional and get the adult vaccination and get the nutritional information that they need. So when they do show up, it's often in a catastrophic way. So one of the things that we saw with COVID-19, it really brought the healthcare disparities and the need for more research in these disparities to the forefront. So for example, the National Institute of Health has made a statement. There's a growing list of disturbing statistics about how Blacks, Hispanics, tribal communities, and some other racial, ethnic, and disadvantaged socioeconomic groups are bearing the brunt of COVID-19. So one of the latest studies comes from a research team that analyzed county by county data gathered about a month ago. So this article came out in May, so this was in April. So the findings, 22% of U.S. counties that are disproportionately Black accounted for 52% of our nation's COVID-19 cases and 58% of COVID-19 deaths. So right there,
say that again,
those numbers, 22% of the United States counties that are disproportionately Black accounted for 52% of our nation's COVID-19 cases and 58% of COVID-19 deaths. That's staggering, and it's devastating, and it was noted in this study that neither the size of the county nor whether it was urban or rural mattered. Huge in terms of, the devastation that we've seen. But let's dial it back just a little bit and let's set the historical precedent. Mm-hmm. So in my research, there was a large public health service study. It's quite famous, from 1932 to 1972. So multi-years, actually several decades. The Public Health Service of the United States federal government tracked about 600 low-income African-American men in Tuskegee, Alabama, about 400 of whom had syphilis. The stated purpose was to better understand the natural course of the disease. To do so, the men were lied to about the study and provided sham treatments. So they were told that they were going to be treated for the disease. They were not. Many needlessly passed the disease on to family members, suffered, and died. Mm-hmm. And many people cite that as one of the major turning points for African American men to have distrust in the healthcare system in the United States. As one scholar put it, the Tuskegee study revealed more about the pathology of racism than it did about the pathology of syphilis. In fact, the natural course of syphilis was already largely understood. So this study was published in 1972, and it was immediately halted. To this day, it is frequently cited as a driver of documented distrust in the health system by African Americans. That distrust has helped compromise many public health efforts, because mind you, it was the U.S. Department, the Public Health Service, that did this multi-decade study. So it's like, okay, why should I trust you? Including those to slow the spread of HIV, contain tuberculosis outbreaks, and broaden provision of preventive care. So, our public health service really shot itself in the foot with that one. So, so many times, we want our loved ones and we want our beautiful kings and princes to be taken care of and to, go get vaccinated. Flu season is coming. COVID-19 is coming back. How are we going to protect this community that was devastated in COVID-19? So the African American community, the Latinx community, tribal communities, as well as others that were just devastated. And there's recent historical precedents. I think, all of us, we were all alive in 1972. So this wasn't something that happened a long time ago, as far as this Tuskegee study and this information coming out. So we have the combination of medical mistrust impacting African American men's preventive health, and then also racism on top of this. So here's another study. Medical mistrust is significantly contributed to delays in African American men utilizing the healthcare system, says Dr. Wisdom Powell, the study's lead author. And this was a study that was done at University of Connecticut. And it shows the potentially serious implications for their overall health. So before we can get this life-saving information out, whether it's vaccinations or nutrition, we have to look at ways that we can encourage African American men from the Latino community, and men from tribal communities to cross that bridge and that chasm of mistrust. So,
because this even affects trust with Black doctors. It's like, doing residency at Howard, of course we heard about the Tuskegee experiments and all, but that distrust was still extended even to Black doctors. It is so deep. And then the sad thing is, because of this distrust, people are dying prematurely. People are being more severely affected by chronic diseases than they need to be, just because of this distrust. It's it's a really sad situation, Dr. Carol.
And so this last study that I'm going to cite from, the one that was done at the University of Connecticut, is more recent. It spanned 2003 to 2009. So the study analyzed associations between medical mistrust, perceived racism in healthcare, everyday racism, and preventive health screening delays. The cross-sectional data of 610 African American men aged 20 years and older was pulled from the African American Men's Health and Social Life Study, with the majority of participants surveyed recruited from barbershops in Michigan, Georgia, California, and North Carolina, along with some academic institutions between 2003 and 2009. So this really frames the challenge that's before us. And I think this show is very timely because, while we're sort of everybody's, venturing out, the states are all opening up, and we're seeing spikes in COVID-19 right now. We need to get the entire community, everyone, all men, all women, ready. And really, the preventive healthcare visit is going to be a key in terms of getting people optimized for whatever is coming next. And we know for one thing for sure, if nothing else were to change, we know the flu season is coming and how many thousands and thousands die every year from the flu, a disease that we have more information about. And we do have some preventive measures toward. We have a vaccine. We don't have a vaccine yet for COVID-19. So
And,
this is
and
very
I
important.
you can get the flu and COVID at the same time. Okay,
Can.
know that you can get strep and flu at the same time. You can have the flu and a bacterial pneumonia at the same time. You can have the flu and COVID at the same time. So why not? Everyone's talking about vaccine. Why not get vaccinated against the viral infection that, like Dr. Carroll says, kills thousands every year anyway? And be protected against that so that you don't end up getting both of them in a few months.
Absolutely. And again, we need everyone to go out, get a primary care doctor, talk to your healthcare experts. This show, we don't diagnose or treat anything in our show, Perspectives in Primary Care. But what we do is we bring you evidence-based education and information. So we hope that you're taking notes. We hope that you will be armed, that you will go to your doctors and ask them treatments. What are the steps that you need to take as an adult? What are your preventive care measures that are going to help ensure your health and well-being?
And enhance the quality of your life as well. We're here to help you.
Yeah, quality and quantity.
Yes.
Quality and quantity of your life.
Yes. So, Dr. Dietrich, could you just tell us, give the folks just a little morsel about what you're going to be dropping on them tomorrow night?
Okay, thank you. This was an excellent show, by the way. I'm going to be talking about screening tests. Okay, I'm going to go through what is a screening test, what's the benefit of a screening test, and what are some of the recommended screening tests that are that a person needs to help detect something early so that it won't go all the way. All right, so it's going to be great information, y'all. So please tune in and come with your pencil and your notebook.
Yeah, early detection is the key. Very much so.
Prevention, yes.
Yes, it's the key to prevention, early detection. And, so even before that, so the nutrition is part of the prevention. So we went over that tonight. Dr. Khadijah, what you going to be dropping on the folk tomorrow night?
All right, so what I'm going to be dropping tomorrow is I'm going to be dropping weights on y'all. So we're going to be talking about exercise. We're going to be talking about cardio and strength training, because a lot of men seem to shun cardio and think that all they have to do is build up their muscles. Right. And cardio is just as important, if not more so. It's recommended that we do more cardio than muscle training. So that's what I'm going to be discussing tomorrow.
And I'm going to wrap it all up with what the research says about what are some of the ways forward, what are some of the solutions, how do we get all of our kings and princes into prevention and screenings and vaccinations and nutrition, and develop a trusting relationship with a healthcare professional that can help them live wonderful and long and healthy lives.
Oh, very nice.
All right, so we're getting ready to sign off here. We hope that you'll be back here tomorrow night. I think we're going to be at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're looking forward to bringing you part 2. So I'm going to sign off. Your host this evening, Dr. Carol Penn, doubly board certified in family medicine and obesity medicine, and also a master movement meditation and mindset coach, 2-time best-selling author. My book, Meditation in the Time of Madness, a guidebook for talented teens, tweens, their parents, and guardians who need to thrive. Dr. Dietrich, sign off, please.
Thank you. And I'm Dr. Dietrich Gorman, your board certified family medicine physician. I am a best-selling author ×3, and I am also a speaker, and I'm also known as America's Relaxation Doctor. And I help those individuals who are having stress at work learn to relax and refocus so that they can have a more healthy, productive, and fulfilled life. And I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow.
Yes, Dr. Khadijah.
And I'm Dr. Khadijah, your board certified emergency medicine physician, author of the best-selling book, Help Us Help You in the Emergency Room. It's what an ER doctor would tell you if she only had the time, and creator of the Mobile MD Kit, which is a specialized kit based on my 20 years of experience treating people in the emergency room for illnesses and injuries that they could have either greatly stabilized or completely treated, thus avoiding an unnecessary ER stay or urgent care visit, which is ever so much more important given this pandemic. And also I want to, since it's Sunday and people are often doing their meal prep now, I put a PDF with the nutritional information that I discussed tonight on my website. So you can check me out at www.drkhadijahmd, or you can follow me on Instagram. That's growing a lot, or Twitter, again, at DRKADISHAMD. But yeah, do go to my website, drkhadijahmd.com, and get that PDF on nutrition so you can get started on your increased quality and quantity of life tonight.
Excellent.
Great. Thank y'all.
Guys, so
Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.